Hello everyone, my name is Dan March and this is another director's commentary that I'm making for the film Penance. I'm one of the directors and one of the writers of this project, and this is our most recent short film. This commentary will be different to how I did Fresh Blood 1, because the Fresh Blood 1 had a lot of what was basically fully stills and stuff. This time we're going to be playing the footage and then just freezing it when we get to specific points so then you can watch it as if you're watching the film. The thing with Fresh Blood before the stills and the director's commentary is that you could kind of only watch it through the stills. You couldn't watch the whole thing alongside it. Um, but like I said earlier, where I'm one of the directors, that's because we have another director on this, who's done brilliant work on this and a lot of incredible work on other stuff before. I will link his stuff later on. I'm joined with Reece.
Hello.
So Reece, yeah,
So
what do you do?
I directed as alongside you on this, and I also
Mhm.
filmed it, and I also edited it and
Yeah,
wrote it.
yeah, you did. Um, so yeah, that's the first thing as well. This is Reese's idea. So Reese, do you want to briefly explain um
So
what the general story and
the
everything is?
film is about this lonely man that basically spends his life working and going to the bar and drinking, wasting away, and essentially he's followed around by this entity or like ghost of this person, and we don't really know who he is, but he just spends his entire time tormenting and making his life an absolute misery. And we follow him. We follow Ben through this story of getting tormented, um, and we slowly find out like things about the past and what's happened to him, and why he's being followed by this ghost. And we learn more and more from the little dialogues they have, and then it's sort of about this. It's the story of him coming to terms with his past and how it's got to this point and how he can move on and sort of have a better life.
Yep. Yeah, that's literally what it is. Um, so to start off, before we actually go through the film and whatnot, I think it's safe for us both to actually give a big thank you to everyone who was associated with this
Mm-hmm.
project. Um, especially our main actor George,
Yeah, it was great.
because yeah, he literally just did this while he already had a project going. They had to get on with as well, and he was reliable as anything. Like we knew, like when he wasn't able to do stuff, and then when he was able to do stuff. And it was really, really great having him on board. He was a genuinely really good actor as well. He brought his all to the role, I think.
Yeah, he did. He was great. Turned up for every single shoot.
Yeah,
Never late. Never missed anything. It was great. Yeah,
it was
perfect.
really, really good help.
Can't fault him.
Really good. Yeah, it was brilliant work he did. Um, and then everyone else on the crew, like before, we had the same crew that we did for Fresh Blood. Um, and we were, yeah, we were all in the same roles that we were in Fresh Blood,
Pretty much.
weren't we?
Yeah. Well,
Pretty much.
I was on. I did a bit of writing this time.
Yeah,
I
you
suppose
did.
that's the only difference.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, no, because this is your project, I do have a few questions before we
Mm-hmm.
start, which is, did it turn out how you wanted it to?
Uh, for the most part, I would say yes.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of things got changed uh, in the script during production, things that we couldn't do. For example,
Yeah.
I wanted to film a scene in a church and have the nice visuals of that,
Yeah.
but people weren't reliable and things like that. We
Hmm.
lost sort of access to the location. And then we'd have to change the story so it'd be in a graveyard instead.
Yeah.
Um, and just little bits with like technical issues with it, like audio. It's not perfect.
Hmm.
Um, but overall, visually, it's pretty much how I wanted it. I'm quite proud of it, how it looks,
Yeah.
how it turned out. Um,
I I think it's our like
Easily the
best,
best, yeah,
easily our best looking film we've done
yeah.
to date. Um, I'm a really big fan of it. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
How did you find the writing aspect of it this time?
Or the writing. Hmm. once, so it took me a while to get going, but once I got into it, not too bad.
Yeah.
Um, I did struggle quite a bit. Like there were hit points where I just didn't know where to go
Mhm.
or what to write or what to do. Um, and I just sort of sat there for ages thinking about it.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it, but I'm better with ideas and then letting others expand upon them, and then I can
Mhm.
like contribute like that.
Yeah.
Writing probably not for me entirely, but I
Mhm.
like the idea part where I come up with ideas to help make things.
Idea generation
Yeah, idea
stuff.
generation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Um, but yeah, no, I think the writing that you did do for it was really, really good. Do you want to talk quickly about the inspirations and stuff you had for making the
Yeah,
story?
yeah. So, um, a couple of the main inspirations for this film. One, Manchester by the Sea. I had
Mm.
a film I really, really enjoyed. How it's very visceral and it feels very real. Um, and I wanted to build on, or not build on, but like I was inspired by like the film. It's sort of how it shows grief and like just death and things in the past and moving on from them. Um, Another one is Ghost Story. I just like the whole feel of that film, sort of
Yeah.
the aesthetic of it, how it looks. I really wanted that in there. Um, those are mainly the two inspirations.
Mhm.
The rest of it, it was sort of just things I couldn't exactly pinpoint from the past that I've seen, but I wanted to put in there as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Small little elements from other
yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah.
Sure, yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for the intro and stuff. Shall we get into it and start
Start the film,
discussing each scene by scene?
of course. Yeah.
Anything?
All right. I'll talk a little bit while this plays. I
Yeah.
wanted sort of a flashback sort of intro. So we
Mm.
don't particularly know what any of this is, but you can sort of guess based on what you see later of the two characters.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show it, you know, the way it is, like the 4:3 aspect ratio. I want to show it as like a and the like the filmy old look as like a memory from the past
Mhm.
and like just sort of like a better time.
Yeah.
But at this point, because it's only 10 seconds in, you don't really understand what's going on, but it you gain more context as the film goes on.
So how did
So,
you make this look in
so
editing?
I had a film emulation plugin basically
Hmm.
that let me control the settings like the aspect ratio, the film grain, the halation, the bloom, um,
Yeah.
and it's just like it creates that filmy old school look.
Hmm.
Um, Relatively quickly as well, which means I can focus on the film and not have to sit there for hours figuring out how to make the exact look. Helps me get
Yeah.
there pretty quick, pretty much.
Yeah, and in the script, the opening part was a bit different,
It was, yeah, it was
wasn't it?
supposed to be like a blurry like out of focus like of the two characters in like a field and just laughing and it'd be like very golden and things like that, but we never really had time to film that or got to a point where we did it.
Yeah.
And so I went back and found some old footage of us walking through Wicksteed,
Yeah.
and I found because it was sunset as well, it looked perfect for this,
Yeah.
and I could just slow it down, slow motion, put this over,
Mhm.
and I think it turned out really well,
I think it looks
despite
really good.
not it having any purpose before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should
It
we
works
carry
well.
on?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah. That's me.
Nicely done.
First appearance.
And
And
then
then I
move
love
on.
that cut.
Oh,
I
you like
love
that,
that
yeah.
cut. Yeah.
So move on to the second scene. This is filmed out behind Wicksteed, just before we reach the estate. You can see there.
Yeah. This was crazy because
Yeah,
when we were out there, it kind of just come to us that we had
yeah,
that
we were
area
literally just
available.
wandering. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So that worked really well.
I said at the start of the film before we started making it, I wanted a shot of one of these yellow fields because all these flowers were growing. I was
Yeah.
seeing them around Northamptonshire, and I just really wanted a scene of Ben or both the characters walking through it. So I
Hmm.
thought visually it looked really, really good, and I'm
Yeah.
very happy we did manage to get one for this.
Yeah. It
And
worked out really well as well.
it did, yeah. And originally this wasn't going to be the opening scene. This was going to be like halfway through the
Yeah.
film. But when I was putting it together, I felt
Mhm.
like this could work really well.
Yeah.
Basically, for the start of the movie, like a little scene to set us off and know where we're at, sort of between the two characters.
It's done well with not showing people how insanely uneven the pavement with
Oh
the
yes,
ground
the
was
ground.
there.
Yeah,
Like it was horrid to walk through.
yeah,
It was so like there
uneven,
was just these
muddy.
small hills and
Yeah,
stuff. It was annoying.
wasn't great, was it?
No, but it worked out really, really well.
Yeah. So I'll carry on here.
Yep.
This is one of the issues we had with this scene. The audio.
Yeah.
So, as you can tell just there, not the greatest audio in the world.
Mm.
Um, and there wasn't much I could do in post to fix it, but you can hear it and it's serviceable, but the music's most of it anyway.
Yeah.
So I think not the best, but it's I think it's all right. It's
Yeah.
you can deal with it. I'd like to again at this point we didn't have the microphone properly
Hmm.
working on the camera,
Yeah.
and we were basically just using camera audio and not the best, but it had to do for this.
It's really tricky to get audio like right on
Yeah,
these
it really is.
productions.
It's always been our
Um,
biggest issue.
yeah, like it was such a massive issue when we were doing Fresh Blood.
Yeah,
Uh, and then we've it's been better for this one.
it has, but we literally
Um,
figured it out by the last few days of
yeah,
filming, and by that point, it was like, ugh.
yeah,
If I'd known this at the start, a lot of this probably would have been better.
yeah. You kick yourself when that
Yeah,
happens,
I'm very frustrated.
but I think for the time frame that we had,
Yeah,
uh, we did pretty well with it.
yeah,
I think
I think we
so.
did.
It works well, fine. And
It's watchable,
there was
and it's all. I
yeah,
think it's fine.
and there was also there was a scene early on in this. Um, I feel like it might have been like where this scene is, but we had like a bar at the very start of the script.
Oh, the bar. Oh, yes, yes, yes. The first
Yeah,
bar scene where he gets killed
first
by the
bar
boss.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um.
that was supposed to be the first scene, but
Yeah.
um, sort of as I was editing this, I kind of decided to put this one in over it.
Yeah.
And then I watched that scene and realized that the kind of audio issues we had in that was just too many
Mm.
for me to sort of put in the film, and we never actually managed to get a boss cast, so we didn't have their audio. And I just decided I'd chop it up into like a montage scene later,
Yeah.
so we could use it, but like we couldn't use it as a proper scene with dialogue, pretty
Yeah.
much.
It is a good thing that you did bring up the boss because that was something that I was struggling with
Yeah,
was casting.
yeah,
Um, because we had posters made and we released the posters and hung them up and whatnot. But it was so difficult to get casting right because most people aren't available when you need them to be, and obviously we're filming it when everyone else had
and
final
we had that issue
projects.
last year as well,
We did, yeah, we did,
where people weren't available, wouldn't turn up. Um,
yeah,
just yeah, we couldn't really have that again. Otherwise, this would have gone wrong.
yeah. Um, but I mean, yeah, the boss was annoying because we had someone who was able to be the boss, but the thing is our timetables and schedulings and
Yeah,
stuff
just
just
didn't
wouldn't
line up.
didn't line up. They kept colliding all the time. Um, so he just couldn't do it. And then in the end, he had to obviously because he's a performing arts teacher, he had to um do for their final show thing going on.
Yeah, didn't
So
have
we just
time.
couldn't.
It was
Yeah, so it just didn't work out.
yeah,
Um, which is fine. I think we still did well
it's
the
fine.
boss
Yeah,
stuff,
I
but we'll
think
get to that. We'll get to
you'll see later. I think we got to a
that.
point we did it sort of. It's been edited, so he, it's not imperative that it's in there, but like
Yeah.
the presence is still
Still has a
felt through like
presence.
messages and order
Yeah,
and things
definitely.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play it on here,
Hmm.
and we're gonna see a scene in a minute that I'll quickly want to talk about.
Yep.
So this shot just here.
Title card.
This I did not realize I was going to have the title sequence here, but as I was editing it, I realized that the sky and the
Mm.
way it's framed and the houses would probably make it relatively easy to
Yeah.
do a title card, basically put it behind the houses.
Yeah.
I did not realize how long this would take me.
Mm.
Or maybe I'm just somewhat incompetent. I don't know. But my god, this took me so long to make, and I can still see issues with it now.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
really like it. I
I
really
think it.
like
I
it.
think it's really effective. Like, because without this, we had like what the sky taking up like the top
Yeah,
line of the
it's just a
thirds.
walk-in shot. Yeah.
Um. So quickly before we explain about like the editing and stuff, explain what you filmed, like what how you filmed this, like what cameras and equipment and stuff you're using
Oh,
for
so
this.
yeah. So for this bit, this was the Blackmagic 4K
Yep.
camera. That's my one.
Hmm.
Because it was just us this day, I only had access to that one. We
Yeah.
basically just had that and the tripod.
Hmm.
Walk around Wixie, finding good spots to film at, and we stumbled on this.
Yeah.
Um, for some parts of the film, we did use the other cinematographer's camera, George. We used his Sony FX. I think it's FX30.
Yeah. 30, I
That was
think.
for more of the scenes where we needed autofocus.
Hmm.
Um, his camera provided that for us, but because I feel like there's a bit of a difference between the camera, his is more sharp,
Yeah.
and it's good for like the sort of close-up talking scenes.
Yeah.
It makes them clear. I think my camera is more. I think it's suited for like the more artsy shot. I don't know, like this, where
Yeah.
it sort of has a bit of a different look. It's a lot softer because of the my ND filter. It also had like a
Yeah.
black mist filter on it. It creates more of like a glowy, soft look.
Yeah.
And I think it just adds a lot to the image and makes it
Can you
very
explain? Can you explain
pleasing.
real quick about what an ND filter does?
The ND filter, yes, the ND filter. Basically, uh, it sort of lets less light in. Is the
Yeah.
simplest way of putting it. It makes it. It's like basically putting sunglasses over the lens.
Yeah.
So we had this issue last year of when we were filming in daytime, everything was way too bright,
Mm.
and we sort of every scene was just overexposed. It just didn't look good.
Yeah.
And I knew that for this, if I didn't get an ND filter, it would have the same thing, and it would ruin the project.
Yeah.
And so I spent some money and got this filter to put over it with multiple stops, so I could adjust it depending on what we needed for the scene, how bright the sky was, or how bright that day was.
Yeah.
And it was it's been very effective.
It has
Because
been.
otherwise we wouldn't have been able to get this shot. The whole sky would have been blown out,
Mm.
and it looks super bright. But
Yeah.
thankfully, because of that, we're fine with this now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like the ND filters work insanely well, and yeah, they are literally just like sunglasses for the
That's pretty
lens.
much the simplest explanation. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So obviously you talked about it. It took you a while to get this. So what did you do in editing to get this
To get
title
this,
card and stuff?
basically, there's a tool in DaVinci what I use to edit it called Magic Mask, and you basically
Mm.
select everything that you want to keep um in the shot. So
Yeah.
I'd go and select all the ground, the houses, the edge of the houses, the flowers, all that stuff, and it automatically um selects it all, so I don't have to sit there and cut around all the edges and it take a very long time.
Yeah.
And then I'd go through and basically like keyframe. So I'd go through and I'd do like 10 times where I'd select everything.
Yeah.
and then I'd press a button, and basically the program just auto masks everything.
Hmm.
And then I believe I think it's called an alpha output connected to that, and it makes it so I can put things behind the houses and things that I've cut out, and then basically it was just writing the word in the text, putting it
Yeah,
behind it,
yeah,
and then leaving it at that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So it it sounds a lot simpler when you say it, but in practice, masking especially is
it's relatively simple, but it's a pain in the
tedious.
ass. Yeah, it's tedious.
Yeah, it's a very tedious activity to do, but it was really effective here. I really like the title sequence of it.
Yeah.
It works brilliant here for the shot. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's
Should we
brilliant.
carry on?
Yeah,
So this was the first office scene, I believe. I believe
yeah,
this is a reshoot. We reshot all of this
yeah,
because we were not happy with the so we'd filmed it on separate days between you and
yeah,
George, and it just didn't look very good. And
yeah,
you could tell it wasn't right on camera when you were watching it.
yeah,
So we decided we don't have much time, but I think we can reshoot it. And then this time we also had George's camera as well, so we could film the
yeah,
scene at the same time,
yeah.
and it sped
Um,
up the process a lot.
yeah, because this office scene was our first shoot for this
Yeah,
film.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And we
Not
weren't really
this version, but
not really
uh,
sure what we were doing either,
yeah,
but we had a
um,
lot less clue.
yeah. The audio just really wasn't working that day.
Yeah,
Um,
that as well.
but that was something we kind of dealt with anyway because like the first day for a lot of our filming and stuff doesn't ever go the way that you want it to ever.
No.
Um, but that was really annoying when the audio just wasn't properly working.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, it was just a better call to just reshoot this later on. Um, and it's worked out really well anyway.
Hmm.
Um, so so this footage is this the black magic still?
Yeah, so that was blackmagic. Then this is George's camera. This is the FX30. You can
Yeah,
see it's a bit crisper, a bit more. It's not as he can't. The f-stop doesn't go as low as my one, so you
yeah,
get more of a sharper image.
yeah,
Um, and we basically spent a while trying to match the cameras up as much as possible. So we made
yeah,
sure all the settings were the same on camera, and then we spent a while on each other's editing programs trying to find the best way to match them up,
yeah.
match the footage up. Luckily, DaVinci has like a match footage button, which basically generates a LUT that is
Mm,
that like has the same sort of colors and everything, and that sort of helped a lot in trying to get the cameras to look the same. And I think we did a pretty good job. It's not
yeah,
perfect, but it's to the point where you don't really. I don't think you're going to notice that much,
yeah.
or it's going to take anything away from.
So was this office like the footage and everything from the office is how you envisioned it when you first had the
I
office and
think
stuff in
pretty
mind?
much, yeah. There wasn't.
Yeah,
So I wanted it in one of the actual offices, in
yeah,
one of the corridors somewhere, but again, it just didn't end up happening,
no,
and we had to sort of improvise and find something else. So we ended up in the quiet room,
yeah,
in the library, but because of the blinds and the things in the background, it's got a sterile white look. I think it works well for it
yeah.
being an office.
Especially with the framing and everything,
Yeah,
it was framed
yeah.
so it looks like an office.
Keep things very
Uh,
close.
yeah. When you're actually in the room, it doesn't look like an
It's
office
literally
at
just
all.
just a room with a table in the middle.
Yeah, it's a room
That's all it
table and
is.
the all computers all around and a big monitor
Yeah.
in the corner. Um, but yeah, no, I mean we did try and get an actual office space, but we couldn't obviously just because of like we weren't allowed because they have
Yeah,
like restrictions and stuff.
GDPR, whatever
So
it's called, I think something like
yeah,
that. Data
something like that.
transfer, things like that. It just made it complicated, and we just thought, you know, we'll find somewhere in the building that will look close
Yeah,
enough. We can keep things framed correctly, so they can't see,
yeah.
you know,
So it worked
the
fine
actual
anyway.
office. Yeah. play. Yeah.
Yep.
So this is another example of where we were gonna have the boss
Yeah.
in the scene, but again, because we couldn't get someone to play him, sort of had to improvise. It's not like I prefer a more elaborate like 3D effect or like showing the screen, but I just did not have time
Yeah.
to come up with something like that. Just had to we had to get through it pretty quick
Yeah.
because of the time limits and just yeah. I think it gets the point across.
The
Get this,
text works. I mean, you know who it is.
yeah, and you can
Like,
sort of again when you read it, we don't need to explicitly tell you who it is. You can sort of guess.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So it works well.
it works. I think it works fine. Who's that? Or do I even need to ask? You know who it is. Now this shot is something that we spent a while trying to get. I think it works fine.
It was really awkward trying to get that.
Wasn't it?
Just having to had to duck under
So yeah,
where
we
the desk was.
had you under the table, under the chair, basically,
Yeah.
and then one of us would signal you to jump up really quick when we're behind the monitor.
Yeah, you would signal George next to me,
Yeah,
who would then signal to me under the desk to
to
then
jump
jump
up.
up as
Yeah,
fast as I
and
could.
then I
So
had
that
to get
I
the
was
focus
there.
right as well as I was going behind the monitor. So I was
Yeah.
really focusing it. So I'd get that wrong a couple times and have to redo it. I think it took us about 4 attempts, if I remember right, 4 or 5 attempts.
Yeah,
And we got it.
it took a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it worked out well anyway, so it's fine.
Another example of George there acting very good.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
a lot of the takes and everything of them just like screaming, like saying "shut
yeah,
up" and
it's very
everything.
good.
Like they were really good. Like we didn't expect him to go like that loud with it.
Yeah,
It sounds stupid when we say that, but like when you think of everything and you look at it, you're like, oh, he's probably not gonna be like insanely angry or anything. But no, he went
and then it
for it.
just
Like he
drops
full
it.
and
It's
went.
like, oh right, bloody hell.
Yeah. Um.
So this scene is the
Yeah.
first, the scene that was supposed to be first in the film at the bar, but I've
Yeah.
chopped it up again into like a montagey scene where we just see him through his life, and
Yeah.
it's like severe alcoholism basically.
Yeah. This bar space
Oh
was
yes, the bar.
insanely handy.
Yes, that was great.
Um. Like I think something we really wanted to get right with this is that we wanted to get locations and
Yeah,
stuff,
definitely.
which worked really
Because
well.
people just at the college, they just never really seen a film that's not filmed in a field in some random like, field or in the college in the hallways or in the
Yeah.
studio or
Yeah.
Wixie. I know we filmed in Wixie, but we used a bit that I don't think anyone's ever probably touched back there
No.
to
I
film.
think most places still don't really find
Yeah,
that back pathway, Steve.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, no, this place was really, really good. We
very
managed
useful.
to go here because our producer Summer, her mum, works here. Um, so we basically just had access to this area, but we were filmed at the top of it, didn't we?
Yeah, we
The
had the
top floor.
it was like an event sort of room that had
Yeah,
its own bar area, and we completely had it to ourselves. That no one was
yeah,
up there making noise or bothering us.
yeah. So
And
yeah,
this was
it's
amazing to
insane.
have.
Yeah, it looks brilliant uh, to film with because I think, especially with the bar and everything, we really didn't want to cut corners with that.
Yeah,
We wanted it to be a bar. It needs to be a bar. Um, and it looks
and
brilliant anyway, so it
it's
works well.
exactly what we wanted basically. And again,
Yeah,
because all the shots are very framed, like close up, you don't need to see anything like the background or anything around him really. It doesn't really matter. You can see he's at a bar,
yeah,
and I think if we keep things tight and close up, keeps it. Yeah, he's just in a bar
yeah,
drinking away every night, essentially.
yeah,
And it was literally perfect for us filming.
yeah, yeah. So this bar was in Rushton
It's the Rushton Band Club or something like
band club. Yeah,
that. Yeah.
Russian band club.
Now this scene's interesting.
Break a bit of the immersion. We're
Yes.
part of a bin.
We are in fact
um,
partners to have been, yes, in your
yeah,
car.
yeah, in my car.
So we needed someone's car. We chose Dan's.
Yep.
And we basically took the car from the Tresham. Well, we're in the Tresham car park. We moved it to a really like dark, isolated corner of the car park so we could have a bit of quiet. Didn't
Needed shade
inherently
as
work because
well.
of the birds, but then we
Yeah,
had the shade, yeah, and it just basically made it darker and
yeah,
made it a lot more just easier for us to film than being in the middle of the car park. It was also incredibly sunny this day, which didn't help.
was. Yeah.
Um,
I mean that was one of our hottest shoots
yeah,
that day actually. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, no, that this shot
Took
is brilliant. Like because we have to actually for work and everything, analyze a still from this.
yeah.
And I picked this still because
Mhm.
I really like it. And I think there is a lot of like symbolism, especially in here with them basically like you got the whole of the car park over there, but the thing is that you're focused on these two people and they're center frame as well.
Yeah,
So they're kind of almost in like a small box by themselves,
pretty
just
much.
here in front of everything else. Um, uh, yeah. So do you want to explain the filming process and everything?
This was
I went to get this.
this was tough one to get. I'm not entirely like it's not perfect how I wanted it to be, but it's close enough to the point where I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
Um, so we were filming a car and we're basically jumping around outside and in the car. So I'd have the tripod set outside filming George through the window, and then for this I'd have to jump in the back next to you
Yeah.
and put the camera in the exact right spot so you don't see me in the frame.
Yeah.
And it gets you perfectly centered like this. And we also have to deal with the light in the background being incredibly bright, which
Yeah.
lights the like however you adjust it in editing, it affects the mirror as well.
Yeah.
I think for this I used I don't remember what it's called, but it was like I drew like a circle around the the mirror here, and
Yeah.
basically like edited in that circle, so I made it brighter.
Yeah.
So you could see actually what was going on in the mirror,
Yeah.
and
That's
yeah, essentially we had to do this scene about 8 times until we got the
yeah.
exact angle because obviously George doesn't know what we can see, and we
Yeah.
basically have to tell him to a little bit to adjust each time, and then eventually we finally got this. We got the shot.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Um, I I do hope that everyone who's watching this has watched the film beforehand, because I wasn't going to spoil it anyway.
Yeah.
But the because my face has got all of the makeup and everything
Yes.
on it
This
for
is
the
one of my
blood and
regrets
whatnot. Oh, okay.
about
Um,
not having this in more.
yeah, okay. All right, yeah. But the thing is, equally, which is part I'm going to spoil, is that the fact that it's only in this part where it's in a
In the
car,
car, yeah.
like
Like
works really well for him. Obviously, dying in a car crash and stuff. It works really well. And that makeup took I think it was 20
20
minutes.
minutes, about 20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, and that was done by Summer. Um, and I think it was literally, as far as I remember, I think it was on my head and then a little bit on my cheek.
There's a head and both your cheeks, wasn't it? I
I
believe.
think so.
You should have an image of it.
Um,
We can put
yeah,
up.
yeah. We got pictures of it, but it took a little bit while, and there was those people walking around
Oh
college as
yeah.
well,
They drove through whole
inspections
building
and stuff.
looking like that.
Yeah, and then they just come into our room, and I'm just there like that. So then when I was walking around college and everything, I just put my hood up,
Yeah.
and I was like, I really don't want to just look at anyone while
No,
I've
it
got
wasn't a
this
good
on.
look
No,
in public.
no, no, in public at all. But yeah, again, it
It
works
was really
insanely
effective.
well.
I just wish we could see it more
Yeah,
because it's literally a split second here. And
this
then we had
is
another shot of you like behind your head, but I didn't use it because
yeah,
I felt like it didn't work for the scene.
Yeah.
So we only get to see this for a split second once. So I hope people do actually see it in the film.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, I think it's present enough for people to then go back to that and look at it again.
yeah,
Um, but this we used a little bit more techniques when it came to the makeup than we did for something like Fresh Blood, where it had cuts and whatnot. Summer did the makeup on that film as well,
yeah.
but we used a little bit of extra stuff
Here we had the
for this.
wax. I think
Yeah, we
here we
had
had
the
the wax.
wax and stuff. Yeah, so you could properly make like lumps and stuff and
Yeah,
things that actually like stuck out and looks like scabs and
lovely.
everything like that as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it worked
Looks
really really well
fantastic.
here.
The switch we used it more. That's the main
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
This was another thing where we had issues with the audio.
Mm,
But I think it works just enough.
yeah.
So I'll talk about this in a moment.
Yeah.
So this scene, we wanted to show like his what would you say, defiance, or like he does not want to face like the past, and doesn't want to think
Yeah.
about what
He's
happened.
in he's in denial of it.
Yeah,
He's not
essentially, yeah.
wanting to he's not really wanting to face the truth and
And we
uh
want to show this was the first, I think, believe this is the first bit here where we start hinting at like what happened in the past,
yeah,
with obviously the
first
blood
bit.
in your
So,
face, and then like the quick cuts to the police tape, and the
yeah.
you can sort of make out like a car in the distance,
Yeah.
and we
Um
start dropping basically like little hints of what's going on.
yeah. So uh yeah. So you see more of it later on. I guess we'll explain a little bit more
Yeah.
later on because I know there's a lot of questions when it comes to those shots.
Well, I can
Um
probably I can mention it now if you'd like.
yeah, you can go ahead now and say
So
it.
I filmed them, and I completely forgot they were on my computer, and I was looking for the footage for this film to edit, and I noticed that they were still there. And
Yeah,
basically, when I was on holiday in Scotland, there was a car that had gone off the side of the road and flipped down a hill and landed upside down.
yeah,
Um, and there was like police tape and fences around it and stuff. And
yeah,
because we'd stopped and pulled over next to it, I quickly just sort of randomly filmed some stuff, and
yeah,
like got like a cinematic, like slow mo pan up from the ground shot of this car down this hill.
yeah,
I don't know why I filmed it, but for this film, it literally worked perfectly for what we needed.
yeah. So that's the thing as well. No, we didn't flip over a car
We
for
did not flip
making
over a
this.
car,
No,
but thankfully someone else did for us
so,
over a year ago.
yeah.
So
Granted, hope the dude's okay.
I think they're fine. It didn't
I
look
think they
too
should be
bad.
fine.
It didn't look too
Yeah.
bad. It was like it stopped just down a hill, and the car
Was
wasn't
there
that.
airbags and stuff?
Probably, but they would have probably cleared it all.
Yeah.
Got them. It didn't look actually that bad. It just like the car rolled down the hill a bit. There was not
Okay.
much damage to the car, but
Yeah.
for us, it doesn't really matter. Just the fact that you can see a car upside down,
Yeah.
like sort of flipped upside down a hill, sort of gives you enough to tell you what's happened,
Yeah.
basically. And this scene coming up, I'll talk about quick.
Yeah.
So this is another scene that we had in the film. Um, we shot this on the day that you weren't there, and this was part of the old office scenes.
Yeah.
And basically, I took it. I thought, what comes after? Like, I knew what comes after the car scene, but I wanted to. It just felt it didn't. I wanted to change it a bit. It just didn't
Yeah.
like fit right in my hair. I don't know. But I was like, I kind of kind of like on a montage scene. I realised that we could use all this
Yeah,
footage, and again, we don't have the boss or anything, so I can't use any of those scenes where he gets told again. So I thought
yeah,
I could literally just show like a passage of time and just like him living with it and living with the entity here as well as while he's at
yeah.
work and just showing like how much stress and how bad everything is going and what he's going through. And I made
That
this
was
little
something with
montage
this.
scene. Yeah,
That was something with this. Because we filmed a lot of it where we were doing dialogue, but without the boss being there. So a lot of it is his reaction, speaking to the boss and everything.
yeah. And I'm
Him
hoping
looking
that
up at the
people
box.
watching can sort of pick up that's what's going on
Yeah, I
because
assume
he's
that they
looking up
can.
and away. Um,
Yeah,
and I I actually I'm quite happy how this scene turned out, even though it wasn't planned in
yeah.
minute. I'm quite happy with how I put it together and how it
I think
fits in
it's
the
really
film.
good.
It just sort of adds a bit, so it's not too. Because I think one of my issues with this film is a bit too quick. We didn't film
Yeah,
particularly enough, and I think it's a bit too quick. And I think I like this bit, so it sort of
yeah,
breaks it up and shows that not everything's happening all at once. It's spread
yeah.
over a bit of time, and that's trying what I'm trying to show here.
It's put in a perfect spot as well to
Yeah,
kind of have where a lot of the days are feeling the same to him.
yeah,
Um, and him getting more frustrated because it helps us get to that point where he is insanely frustrated and tired like this
yeah,
later on and everything. We get to that point quicker,
yeah.
which I
Basically.
really like as well.
And it sort of it shows after this like he goes so that's like the passage of time and he's going through all this a lot and
Yeah,
it sort of adds and makes sense like why things change as quick as they do towards the end here.
yeah,
So like he's to a point where he's so fed up and like that by the end he decides to actually do something about it and try and make a change.
yeah. Um, so I guess something to bring up here, which we haven't talked about much,
Yeah.
is the color correction aspect of this short film, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, did you get some different um choices in mind for the colors, or did it generally turn out how you basically planned it to look?
I pretty much I know, it was sort of everything I imagined in my head is kind of how I wanted it and it's turned out that way. But
Yeah,
with this, it's sort of kind of experimental. I'd sat for a few hours just going through loads of variations of how I wanted it to look,
yeah, yeah.
and I wanted sort of it's not it's kind of like a lot of the scenes blending is like very bluey, like in the
Hmm.
office or in here, like kind of matches his shirt. I just want it to seem very like samey and mundane, and
Yeah,
but also like quite dark and just I just wanted it to be quite like a miserable sort of isolating feeling.
yeah,
But I still wanted color, and it was kind of hard to get that. But
yeah.
I think it's, I think I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. I don't really have any
I
issues with the
think the
color.
colors are distinct for this.
Yeah,
Um, they
it's
still, I see what you mean anyway. Where you don't want it bright because obviously that doesn't suit the themes and whatnot.
yeah,
Um, but you don't really want it entirely washed out and dull
yeah, because
either.
then it's just boring to look at, and
Yeah,
that's not what I want. I want a very high quality, good looking film that like
yeah,
when you see it makes you go wow, sort of on
yeah.
like certain shots or just throughout.
Something that's interesting to look at, but
Yeah,
fits the themes well as well.
yeah, pretty much how I want it.
Yeah, and that was Summer's mum.
That was in fact someone. Thank you for that
um,
because we did need
yeah, he
someone
was
to look
really,
at.
really happy to play the bar person, which is
Yeah.
brilliant. Oh, very, 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 very well done.
hmm
Thank you to her.
Now this is the final office scene. This was the
Yep.
one we were looking forward to quite a bit because of sort of how it ends, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it. Was something that we were looking forward to doing, and I know George was excited,
Yeah, he really was excited to do it.
which is great because it looks great.
Yeah,
Um, and the thing is with it is that again, I think when we had like in the early office stuff and everything where he would shout "shut up" and everything, that kind of prepared us for this moment where we
Yeah,
knew he was gonna
we knew. Yeah,
actually
he really was.
flip out.
Yeah.
You know, um, so that really prepared us for this.
We also
So we
took
were really really
ages.
excited for
We
it.
also took
It
ages
did,
to figure out how to film it
yeah,
because we
definitely,
were trying to frame it still, so you can't like see the room that we're in
yeah.
and keep the but keep how I want it to look. Still want it to
Trying
look
to get
decent.
it in shot without it
Yeah,
damaging our equipment
yeah,
as
pretty much.
well.
And also for this was something we did learn the little details that we pay attention to. We wanted him way more like messy
Yeah,
looking, like messed his hair up, messed the tie up and the shirt, just
yeah,
like sort of degrading mental state, and like he's not
yeah,
looking after himself properly now. And we also had all the lights off in this scene, so it's a lot darker.
yeah,
Um, basically only lit by the window and the monitor
yeah.
in this whole scene, and I
That's
think
a thing
it's
as well.
visually different.
That's a thing as well for like just outfits because like there's a few moments where you do get to see the full attire of the entity. Um, but I thought like having the ripped jeans and everything works
Yeah,
because it's it foreshadows like obviously the point of them dying in a car crash, but
yeah,
it doesn't give it away. But
yeah. It
you
doesn't.
know that something bad's happened.
And I also think the color scheme
Look like
of
that.
the NT
Yeah,
outfit's quite good because it's like just grey. It's kind of
yeah,
obviously stereotypical like ghost sort of color
yeah. That
sort of thing.
yeah. So that's the thing as well. Um, so for the designs of the entity and everything, did you have anything else in mind?
I really
Uh,
didn't, to be honest. I wanted him to look like a normal person,
yeah,
but the original plan was to sort of have him get worse and worse as the film goes on visually, like with the
yeah,
makeup and looking bad. But again, it's just one of those things where we didn't have time to sit for an
yeah,
hour on, not an hour, but like 20-30 minutes every day putting makeup on you. And
yeah,
half the time we didn't, because we can't have the whole crew there. Like Summer couldn't be there every day. We don't have the person to put all the makeup on and get it exactly the
yeah,
same each time.
yeah,
And I just got to a point where it was like we just have him as a normal person.
yeah,
But the distinctive thing about him is that he can appear in scenes like where we do our special cuts, and it's like 1 minute he's there, then the second he's not, or
yeah.
vice versa. And we
It
sort of
doesn't really need to have any footage of him going from point A to B.
yeah, he just
It just
is.
kind of just appear there.
Yeah, because he's not real. Basically, that's how
Yeah.
we wanted to show it, pretty much.
There again, Ben. Not good.
Look, I can't lose this job. You can bother me as much as you want later. Later. But for now, let me get on.
I'm not the one drinking myself to death every night and showing up late for work. I think we both know I'm not the one responsible for this.
Another scene here where we wanted the boss, but we couldn't do it. I can say something quickly about this scene.
Yep.
Nice little name he had for me in the phone because I was obviously
Yeah.
editing my phone. So
Yeah, that
I
was you.
had a giant issue with this scene when I was editing.
Yeah.
So George's camera was the one that was getting the audio for this,
Hmm.
and because we were doing like we were calling, his camera was the audio was literally like the phone, like the phone like crackling noise.
Yeah.
When you got something next to a phone calling and it's making
Yeah.
that like don't you know that noise?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was covered. The whole audio was like that, and it
Really?
was practically it was unusable, and I couldn't put any effect on it to get rid of it. So I had to switch to my camera,
Mm.
which I'm not happy that I had to do it because of the buzzing of the fan on my camera.
Yeah.
You can sort of hear it, but
Yeah.
because we're in an office, it can sort of be attributed to like computer fans or something like that. So I'm
Yeah.
not too bothered by it. But yeah, I just want to point that out quickly for
Yeah.
this scene. So we need a scene where he gets fired from his
Mm.
job, but again, no boss. So we come up with this scene with the whole phone thing.
Yeah.
And again, it's like one of those things where we don't explicitly state that he's been fired, but you can sort of tell from what he says on the phone and his reaction that that's sort of what's
Yeah.
happened. And after the last warning he got, essentially, yeah, that's what's happened. That's what we're showing.
Yeah,
But
George did act out the phone call really
he
well.
did, yeah, he really did.
You could convey the fact that you've been fired and whatnot.
Yeah, and
just through that.
also in the middle, as you see here, it like with the character
Yeah.
sort of keeps it consistent. He tries to like keep it in here.
Yeah.
Like just tries to. I think let me go back. Tries to bottle it up as he's been doing everything.
Yeah.
And just that line that your character says just pushes him over the line.
Yeah.
And starts this scene. And yeah, basically finally just cracked.
Yeah.
And it's been building up to it from like the last few minutes or the whole film pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think that's about halfway, just over halfway here. And it sort of pushes us into the kind of last act. It's not, I wouldn't say acts in this, but it's like that's what pushed him over the edge to finally start trying to do something different.
In terms of his character, that's definitely the breaking point for him.
Yeah.
Especially emotionally.
His whole life.
Yeah, especially emotionally, because like after that point, he's more accepting of stuff and opening up a lot more, especially in this like bench scene and whatnot.
I think because he's so broken down and defeated, and he can't keep fighting the NC anymore with like the insults and just like making fun and just constantly moaning at him. He can't take anymore. And he finally opens up to the idea of maybe actually listening for once and talking to him.
I think because the thing is that with the script changing and whatnot, the him breaking stuff scene, the rage scene was a consistent thing. Like that's something that we kept. We know we wanted to do it. And it worked. And obviously there was different locations as well because we wanted. There was houses. There was a house. Like it was gonna have scenes in the house.
The scene in the living room. Couldn't do that.
No. But yeah, no. There was an idea that we had for the rage thing. Where didn't we want it where it's just the music going?
Yeah, basically that was the original plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of similar here, but it wasn't entirely.
Yeah.
We ended up changing it again as with normal.
Yeah. It worked. It still worked really well. It was really effective. And George did throw us all into that.
Yeah, he really did. And I think it's like a good contrast. It goes from like this rage, it builds up, and it just cuts to like kind of like nature-y sort of things. Like
kind of similar cut. Similar cut to what we had like earlier on as well, with the like flowers and kind of going from the
pretty much
the stuff in the past and whatnot. Like having these nice cuts. Like I think the thing is like when you have like harsh cuts like these, I think they're really effective. I really like harsh cuts and stuff like that. Where it immediately just goes bang. Now we're already somewhere else, but the imagery as well has made it a lot like calmer and kind of just stopped it like dead in its tracks.
Contrast, but it works.
Yeah, I think it's effective.
So these are just random little bits we got while we're filming a scene that takes place later.
Yeah.
Just wanted again more like nice looking shots in it, so very visual. Now this, I really like this shot. Again, it's another thing that I literally was filming while we were walking to the graveyard. After we filmed another scene, and I know it's like a shaky sort of wobbly shot.
To be fair, though, you did really well for that because the ground was insanely uneven.
Yeah.
Like we're filming in fraps and everything, but we're filming up a hill.
Yeah.
And it just goes down.
And we were walking,
so
and I was trying to keep the focus on him.
Yeah.
but because it was sunset, I think it looks so nice in the background. And
It
just like
does.
walking, and it because of how not like because it's like quite a shaky shot, and he's walking quite fast. I
Yeah,
think it like carries on from the rage scene pretty well. Like it makes sense that he's like it's quite a not a stable shot because it sort of reflects how he
yeah,
is mentally right now.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So something that does like especially affect some parts of like the bench scene and whatnot. And throughout the whole thing is the music and stuff,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah,
No, you wanted it. You wanted like a good lot of music
yeah.
for
Yeah, a
this.
good sound. We
It helps
literally
set the
had the
mood and
music
whatnot.
sorted like about a month
Yeah.
before filming, and
So how did you choose the specific tracks?
basically me and George, cinematographer George, not that George there,
Yeah.
um, sat in class and we'd literally just I showed him a couple that I wanted for the film
Mm,
to get like the feeling of it. I
yeah.
wanted like very melancholic, quite sad,
Yeah.
but like sort of powerful sounding tracks. And George, for some reason, just knew loads. Um,
Yeah.
so that was like I was like, oh, okay, wow. And we basically sat there and put playlists together, mostly
Yeah.
his like sort of music, and I just liked all of them pretty much. And I sat there and like while I was editing it, I had about 8 to go through. I think we used 4 or 5 in this film,
Yeah.
and I picked them out and just put them in like which ones I think fit for each scene.
Yeah. So did
And
you try like the different C's with the
so
different
yeah, like
tracks?
earlier on there was a few where I like was flipping them around. Like this was
Yeah.
I picked this one straight away, and then it
Yeah.
just felt right for this. But like earlier on, I was flipping them around,
Mm,
seeing what worked, and I'm really happy with the music in this.
yeah.
I think the music works really well.
It is really, really
And
effective.
I don't think there's anything music wise I would change in this.
No.
Now.
Shovel some more alcohol into your system, Ben? What'll it be tonight?
This was a
Beer,
difficult scene to
whiskey,
film.
whatever I want.
Yeah.
None
Um,
of your
So
business. Sure, sure.
it's
focus
some of the like basic scenes when you
it is,
look at
yeah.
them on paper are difficult to film. I know the office scenes they took a lot longer than we thought they would.
Yes,
A
the
lot
office
longer.
scenes did, but at that point we were not fully strapped for time, but here we were rushing big time. We
Yeah.
had to get to the graveyard for sunset, and as you can see here, it's already going down.
Yeah.
Um, and I kept like we tried to do a thing at the beginning where I'd go behind George and we'd have you appear in like a
Yeah.
cut, but it just wasn't working. The
Yeah.
manual, because I'm manually focusing everything, it's really difficult to keep it and move and make sure everything's framed at the same time.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a gimbal or I didn't have a focus wheel to do it. I had to do it all manually.
Yeah.
Um, also at this point we'd figured the audio out. We had the microphone set up on the cage, and this
Yeah.
was like the last day of filming. I just figured it all out, and I'm really annoyed that I didn't have this set up
Yeah.
already, basically.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, we did this about 4 or 5 times trying to get the focus right, and again,
Yeah.
eventually we got it. Oh, happy with that. Turned out the framing isn't perfect, but again, I'm walking backwards,
Yeah.
focusing and trying to frame at the same time. It's not easy, but I think it's at a point again where it's because
Yeah.
it's watchable and it's not like terrible. So I think that's fine.
Yeah. I do really like this shot though. Um, not just because I'm in it,
Oh yeah,
but
cool.
because it feels like it feels like it has the inspirations and stuff of like Manchester by the Sea.
Yeah, it just
Um, and I just love like the sun and
yeah, the sun and
because
stuff,
that
and
was
we
that.
can sort of
Yeah.
I feel like something you could say here is like I feel like the sun in this film is quite symbolic of things like changing, getting better.
Yeah.
Because there's
Definitely.
no sunlight in this film whatsoever until
Yeah.
about this point,
Yeah.
and it's where things start to properly change.
Yeah.
And it's from this point things just start slowly getting better, I'd reckon, and
Yeah.
your character sort of starts to drops the whole torment thing and tries to really
Yeah,
like talk to him, get in there, and like,
yeah,
try and open up to him. And I think from this point here, where he sort of is looking on, watching him walk off, is where he
yeah,
decides like, yeah, that's it.
yeah.
We're gonna try and actually get through to him now.
Like it's nice having these moments where you can see like these small little instances where they kind of take a step back,
Yeah,
and you can tell that they're having a lot of deep inner thoughts,
yeah,
and actually thinking about what to do, and actually thinking that things need to change and whatnot. And there's a lot of moments and stuff with the entity and everything doing it. Like, um, I would say like relatively early on when he screamed like "shut up" and everything, you would
yeah. You can
see
see him.
walk off disappointed,
Yeah,
and stuff, and kind of just it would linger with him a little bit and be like, oh, like I'm just
a lot of
disappointed
it.
in
Yeah,
what you're
it's like
doing.
your reaction, or like his
Yeah.
reactions in the film. Sort of watch his
Um.
face and see what he's thinking.
Yeah.
Like deep
Um.
down.
But yeah, I mean, the moral of the story isn't get fired from work and then everything becomes better.
No, it's not. But it's
but
like
it works
desperation
well.
at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, another bar scene, just because we're just showing constantly how much he's drinking, how much he's I think
And this
here
is
we
where we use the
finally,
lights under the
yeah.
bar as well.
I had a struggle here trying to film you appearing. This was the best take we had. It's not the perfect, but
Yeah.
we didn't really have much choice. I like that shot, very clear there.
Yeah.
You can see here when
Yeah.
he's not like
He's not screaming
he's not
at the
screaming.
entity.
There's no anger or anything here. It's just
Yeah.
you've sort of hit a point now where you're just talking
Yeah.
normally, not making fun or moaning, trying to just sort of break through and be more like
Yeah.
gentle about it.
Yeah.
And you can
It's
see
got
he's
to the
just
point where he's just insanely
yeah,
tired of everything.
and Ben's just at his sort of wits end, and
Yeah.
the entity isn't going at him. It's just sort of talking, and he's sort of
Yeah.
coming round to it. And they both kind of. Ben stops being the angry, like defiant,
Yeah.
sad, like he's still sad, but
Yeah.
and then the entity, your character, sort of stopping, sort of realizing maybe moaning and going at him constantly isn't the best.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can probably interpret it different, but like it's that sort of thing.
So
This is
it's
the
a bit
first point.
more of a sense of understanding
Yeah,
each
more
other, and
understanding.
obviously, yeah, obviously because the entity and everything isn't like strictly like Charlie, they're like still a figment of like
Yeah,
Ben's own grief and whatnot, and own
yeah. It's sort of
um guilt.
it's his brain going at each other
Yeah,
basically, and it's a
um,
moment where he's like thinks. I think it's like his brain, and he starts to think differently
yeah.
because of
He
everything
starts
that's happened.
understand and kind of accept himself a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah,
And you can kind of see that gradual change as well with both characters, which works really well.
yeah. You can say again. You could say it because how like defeated he is right now, and that like
Yeah,
sort of barrier, like that fighting barrier, it's
yeah,
sort of gone down. It affects the way the entity is as well, because
yeah, definitely.
it's basically an extension of Ben, and that's why it's like a sudden change in how he's acting. I suppose you could
Yeah,
attribute that as well. I think here he has the realization. Like he hears the words. You can see his hand shaking. He hears the words, and he's like, "Probably time to do something about this.
yeah.
Confront the reality."
This was final day
Yeah,
shooting. Um, we
racing
switched
against the sun.
graveyard.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah, the
brilliant shot.
entity, our
Shot
favorite shot
of
of
the
the
film.
film.
Shot
That
of
we
the film, I would say.
and we wanted it to be the last scene, but
Yeah,
because we're filming at sunset, and when we'd finished, it was raining and the sun had gone down, so
yeah,
it could not be the final scene of the film.
yeah,
However, I wanted it in there, and I think this is perfect here because he's
yeah,
walking down during sunset, and again, I think, as I said, that sun symbolizes how I wanted it at the start before I even wrote the script. I said I want the sun
yeah,
to sort of symbolize like the better future.
yeah.
and it
I
still
mean,
looked
on
perfect.
screen now, I'll show this shot and the alternative take that we had.
Yeah.
So you want to explain a little bit about those two shots, because I know you were a little bit conflicted
Yeah, so I
at one
didn't know
point.
which one I wanted to choose.
Yeah.
Because this, I didn't know if the sort of sun was too much here
Yeah.
to begin with, and it sort of makes things harder to see, just sort of takes a lot of the image.
Yeah.
But it does also work pretty much how I want it to in terms of the sun, like symbolizing a better future for him.
Yeah.
But the other shot, the sky was like magnificent.
Yeah.
You could see the clouds moving and everything.
Clouds were like very
And it
active
felt like very
in the second one.
powerful, sort of. And
Yeah.
I was trying to decide which one. I asked people like what they thought, and eventually I think we settled on. Obviously, we settled on this scene.
Yeah.
Because we think the sun just like having it like be so overwhelming in this shot.
Yeah.
Makes
It felt a bit more prominent in this one
Yeah.
than the other one.
Yeah. The other one, it's more
Which I
like the
think was
sky.
nice.
It's just like the sky.
Yeah.
It's in the sky. This one is directly in the camera.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I just feel like it's more powerful in terms of showing, like, again, showing that it's going to be a better future. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, actually, I guess before we talk more about this thing,
Yeah.
we should probably talk about the church.
Ah, this,
scene.
yes. So this,
Yeah.
so this is, we wanted the church scene to be sort of here, just
Yeah.
before this, where he talks to like a pastor in the church, and they sort of like talk him into the idea of opening up, and like kind of, I think it was like letting go, and sort of not actually speaking to the entity and
Yeah.
trying to see what they think and things like that. And
Yeah.
again, I wanted that scene so bad, but we just didn't have time, and they cancelled.
Yeah.
Like the days just didn't work out, and we had to
Yeah.
accept that we weren't going to have it, and we had to rework it.
I mean, we did have pictures as well of
Yeah,
the church location.
Location scouted it all as well.
Yeah. And it was unfortunate we didn't get to use it, because it was such a beautiful area. It really was. Like not just the church itself, but out around it and everything. It works really, really well. And I think it looked
fantastic.
brilliant. But obviously, this like scene wasn't in the script. Kind of just had to make this up.
Yeah, this got added in.
Yeah.
Some of the dialogue, I think some of the dialogue was improvised-ish.
A little bit, yeah. Not all of it is kept to the script, although the rewrite that we had.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is, when we were rewriting it and everything, we wanted to make sure that the themes and like main like sort of messages from the church scene were still present in this one. So it felt like it was an alternative than like a just an outright we're getting rid of that. We've now got this one. Like I wanted it to, basically have the same sort of stuff in there, just the fact that they're not at church.
Yeah, pretty much. So we had to sort of combine the scenes.
Yeah, definitely.
And we also we wanted to film at the grave. We were in the grave. I wanted to film at the grave, but I think the bench. I think it would have been a bit too much, but I think this is sort of a good sweet spot of where we wanted everything.
Yeah.
We wanted him to like sort of not monologue. It was going to be a monologue, but like here it's kind of one, but it's more of them just talking, and I think it works pretty much how I wanted it to.
Yeah.
Still wanted little shots between, and this is where we finally like fully revealed the car. You can see it clearly.
Yeah, so at this point, the sky was
the
not on our side anymore.
Darker. And here also I cut out a bit of dialogue. I was watching it and I wasn't. I didn't think it fit properly in the scene. and I wasn't particularly happy with it. And I thought, I think we're gonna sacrifice. I know it's again more bit more detail and adds to everything, but I felt like it didn't fit, and so I trimmed
Yeah,
it out. Just saying, I cut to you.
yeah,
I think it helped a lot.
yeah, definitely. I agree with you.
Why are you so scared of letting go? I'm not scared. I'm just fucking tired. I'm tired of it all. I'm tired of seeing you. I just want my friend back. Why didn't I let him leave town like he wanted to?
I think I wanted to have like little flashes in this conversation of things like again like memories and just him because he's sort of reminiscing,
Yeah,
thinking about the past. I wanted to sort of add that in, like little
yeah,
glimpses of what he's thinking in his head. Another issue we had obviously with this scene was again audio. Um,
yeah,
we were filming. It started raining while we were filming, so that didn't help. So I had to put my coat over the camera.
yeah,
Um, and then the wind was a massive issue, and we didn't have the
yeah,
thing that sort of stopped the wind. Um,
yeah,
but luckily, there's a thing on DaVinci called Dialogue Processor, and I put it on this scene, and it
yeah,
pretty much took all the way the worst of the wind. The only one that's
yeah,
left, I think, actually kind of contributes to the scene because it sounds more like a sound effect, but it's
yeah,
actually just in camera.
yeah.
And I'm just sort of, I'm quite happy with how it sounds. To be honest, it just makes it feel a bit more dramatic.
I was happy with the wind in this because I really love those moments, especially when the characters have like a self-realization, and you know those moments where they kind of let the wind kind of like move them a
Yeah,
little bit,
yeah,
and the wind feels like an actual presence
it does. Yeah,
almost, and actually feels like a main contributor to them actually almost relaxing. Um,
kind of. Yeah,
and I really liked that aspect of this scene especially.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, this is filmed in the Frapson uh cemetery. And we were gonna film it in the Rushton one,
Russian one,
but it
but I
just
think
didn't.
we decided that we could get because in
Yeah,
Thrapson this way you live in Thrapson we can it's quieter we got the walking
yeah,
scene without too many issues. There's still people getting in the way constantly,
yeah,
dog walks and things. And the graveyard was literally just around the corner. It was so much easier to film here, and I think at the start if we'd actually like if we knew all this, we probably should have just filmed everything here. I think we agree
mm,
on that now.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah,
Um,
it made it easier to film a lot of stuff in just one day.
yeah. I think we ended up going with the Frapson one or the Russian one because for these shoots where we had to move places, we wouldn't have everyone on set at the same
Yeah,
time because it wasn't feasible for a lot of us for the travel
yeah.
aspect of
Not
things.
everyone could drive. There's only a few of us that can drive,
Yeah.
and
So
some live like in Corby, even further away.
yeah. So for this one, Frapson for us on the shoot, which is literally me, you, and George,
Yeah,
actor George. Um, the thing is that for us, Frapston was a closer, uh, like drive for us, and also a place that we at least knew, because none of us
yeah,
knew like Russian,
yeah. And
so it was a little bit, yeah,
much easier to get to. Just literally down the A14, we were there.
yeah.
No, I drove
It's
George.
literally just straight line.
Yeah.
But it worked well.
I just like we had to jump around a lot with the tripod here.
Yeah,
I think I really like the shots. Had to manually focus a lot of these things like here.
yeah,
I was selfish. I didn't want you to go. I wanted to have one more drive. I couldn't even get out of the car. I just thought it would be okay. I thought you were okay. Please don't leave me.
I think here he's finally opening up, and
One more day.
yeah. I think,
desperation comes out of being lonely and just not having his friend anymore.
yeah, a good chunk of that dialogue from George was actually improvised by him,
Yeah,
which I was really surprised about
yeah,
because I think
yeah,
it helps for these moments where we have these longer takes rather than kind of cutting up the whole time.
yeah,
So I was really surprised at him being like he was actually able to keep like his momentum of acting through that shot
yeah.
and then improvise as well.
Yeah, it was
Um,
fantastic.
it was really well done by him, and I think the the thing with like him actually looking at the entity and being like, "Don't leave me," like throughout the whole thing and everything, he's been wanting the entity to go the whole time.
Yeah,
But now he's really, really lonely.
like he's
And
sort of, he's realised just how bad
yeah,
it's got, and he literally just wants his friend back.
yeah, and it's really sad at that point. But
Yeah, but
the
again,
emotion
that barrier's
is really
broken
good.
down, where he's like trying to be tough and keep it all in,
Yeah,
and just
definitely.
try and pretend everything's fine. And really,
Yep.
he's just incredibly desperate and lonely, and just wants, literally just wants a friend or his
Yeah.
friend back. The entity sort of, getting his brain comes to terms with everything here.
Yeah.
It's that other side of him that he oppresses, kind of.
Yep.
And
Beautiful cut.
Yeah, perfect. And it's just that last little bit.
Yeah.
The entity says is his brain sort of telling him
Yeah.
what he needs to do, and he's accepted it.
Yeah.
And again, and he's sorry.
Yeah.
For what's happened.
That was something with the rewrite. I think I didn't want the entity to be doing like all the work and everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I wanted Ben to be the person to be like,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, rather than obviously like, I know the entity and everything is like his brain and everything doing it, but if it's better from Ben saying I'm sorry and everything, and then it just cuts to them kind of gone because he's finally accepted himself.
Yeah.
And kind of almost, not completely, but obviously almost made like peace and everything with himself. I really liked that cut. Like I didn't want to end it with them basically being like, "Oh, we're happy, like chappies."
Yeah.
I wanted it to just be like, "Yeah, okay,
That's it.
you've now got past that barrier for yourself now."
Yeah. And it's come to terms with everything, and that last little bit, and him saying sorry. It's sort of like that's the entity's gone. Like now he's accepted and realised that he doesn't need it anymore.
Yeah,
doesn't
definitely.
need this constant like going at himself basically.
Yeah.
And here you can see the sky's dark and raining.
Yeah, it really hated us at this point now.
No sunset for us in the final scene, but I'm happy with this.
Yeah. The music as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah, and that's it. I'm very happy that it turned out, even though we didn't get the things we exactly wanted. But, yeah, it's probably the best thing we've made by a long shot.
Yeah, definitely. So when it came to our like past projects and everything, I think a lot of our past projects and just stuff with us like filming and whatnot has taught us a lot to prepare for this, especially. And I think we have been able to do especially our best with this one.
Definitely is.
And we've definitely not held back with a lot of it, and we have put our all, especially in this. So yeah, I'm insanely happy with how it turned out.
Absolutely, it's our last project here, pretty much.
Yeah,
I kind of wanted it to be special, and really like show over the years how I've improved, and I think it's quite evident that we've improved here.
Yeah, definitely.
Just especially visually, I just wanted it to be the best thing that we've made, and like I want it to stand out of the cottage. I don't want people to. I suppose I kind of want it to be an example of maybe the future and when we're gone. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
People try and aim to hit that quality. I mean,
I think when we're especially when we're making this and everything, I think Robin, our lecturer, was very much wanting us to make something that she can show future people.
Yeah.
Because I think she was especially explaining that before with other groups, she's had a struggle to find stuff that she could show future peeps. And I think she especially wanted us to be able to make something like that's not only visually beautiful, but also like has a beautiful story and beautiful themes,
Yeah.
and overall is a brilliant film. She really wanted us to get that right, so then she could show it.
Yeah.
And I think especially when we're making, like, especially a lot of these things and everything, we have a lot of self-doubt when we make this
I
stuff.
especially do. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the imposter syndrome can set in
Yeah.
really quickly. But I mean, like, at the end of the day, we're really, really happy with a lot of how this turned out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's again, there's just points and everything where the imposter syndrome comes back and goes like, oh well, what if it's not good, or what if it, if we're not particularly that good compared to a lot of people. And I think the thing is, especially with the fact that we're studying like film and whatnot, you're being put in a position where there's so many people who are insanely good at film. So we constantly compare the whole time.
Yeah.
And it can get really, really like bad. It can really like
Definitely.
eat you up and whatnot. But I think especially with this, we managed to actually like
Here
push
we can
through and whatnot.
recognise that here
Yeah,
we've made something that, while not
yeah,
perfect, is of very
yeah.
high quality, and I think we can be proud of it.
While not perfect, it's something we can look back on and
Yeah.
be insanely happy with it.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I mean, that's it for the director's commentary.
I think we've covered
Thank you, Reece, for
everything.
joining me. I
Yeah,
thought it
of
was really,
course.
really good for us to talk
Mhm.
about it.
Definitely.
And yeah, obviously, thank you for the rest of the production team and whatnot. Special thanks to Robin, Sophie, and Matt. Thank you very much, guys, for like teaching us over the years. You guys have been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Generally. And yeah, obviously, I hope you guys did enjoy Penance and whatnot. And I really, really do hope that you enjoyed the director's commentary as well. So yeah, that's it from us. So yeah, goodbye, everyone.